22 than 21 due to snow plowing. And revenue was up in last month over 2021 because the fuel tax came in February of this year and it was in January of last year. It's kind of early to look how we're doing on the general purpose, public safety and road and bridge funds, so I'm gonna leave it at that.
I got that.
You good? Can I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
Make a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Move on to the bills.
I'll make a motion, we pay bills 32 through 45 for a grand total of $18,398.75.
I'll second that motion to pay the bills.
Any questions on any of those? I don't have any. Anything else?
Nope.
Have a motion to pay bills 32 through 45, a total of $18,398.75.
We already did that. And Dan seconded it.
Yeah.
We just
All in
gotta vote.
favor?
Oh,
We gotta vote.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we're gonna amend the agenda for tonight, and before the reports of committees and meetings and events, we're gonna have Aggregate present their mine permit for 2022.
Now, Cheryl, did we get the revised copies of the administrative permit then? Did you make them up?
Yes, they're in a pile here somewhere.
Okay. I'll come get them.
Yeah, while you're getting those, the planning commission did recommend approval of the 2022 mining permit, administrative mining permit for Aggregate. And we'll
Want a copy for each?
get some documents here real quick, because we put it in the form of SHS's form,
Well, it's got-
administrative permit form.
It's got the
And I
agenda.
just want to see that real quick. And Tom, I do have a question for you. Can you come up? We've had this for a while. So, this area, as you know, may be extended 500 feet from his property line, so it would be here. So, I would recommend you don't script this for 2022, at least until after we get done with the
We have that spelled out in our thing for the, it looked like this, and
This is a new.
we re-illustrated and here's
Here,
what we
Dan.
have to change it on. Did you get that?
hearing. And you got a copy of this, right?
Did you get that, Patty? This is kind of what, I mean, pretty same, like you said, the same thing, just with some little wording. I think it's paragraph 1. Yep.
And that stripping was
That
gonna,
with the 2022 stuff. This is it.
You're Dan. That goes with yours. And Tom's supposed to have a new map, he said.
Yes.
No.
Looks like.
no, I don't think we need it. Because the way this is written, it's very specific
Oh,
to
okay.
just what's
These are
listed
the-
as 2022.
If you got it though, we'll
These
take
are what
it.
are different from last year, the red.
Except I would,
And that's all spelled out in there. And then the only other area we made change was down here.
right.
Yeah, which is all what we discussed at the thing.
And so Patty, like I was showing, Tom, this area here where they're gonna be stripping, this is 500 feet from the house. If it so happens that it's gonna be 500 feet.
This is kind of what we
property, I would
changed,
recommend
and
you
it's,
could
I'll walk you through it quick.
strip. Yeah,
In between there, and then.
at least for now. And if we could get it straightened out, by the 29th.
Where's the new map you brought, Tom?
You didn't bring one? No,
No, let's not muddy the waters.
Well, he told me he was gonna bring one the other night.
That's fine.
A different one.
He'll,
so, all that reads,
Bring over
Tom,
here and show him
all that reads is
distances
that all
over
these
here.
labeled 2022 are approved.
but this is critical
And then
because-
nothing would happen in
because we
here
don't know
until
what's gonna
variance stuff,
happen
you know, and that's
exactly.
pretty cut and dry.
with his property.
The map he
And,
was
I
gonna
mean,
bring
I know
was
that
gonna
by-
have footages on there from the property lines.
Well, yeah, I think they're gonna just, and this is stripping that can happen anytime.
Yeah. No, make him give us the map that he told me he's gonna give us.
Yeah,
This is supposed to be gone,
yeah,
and this is supposed to have the distances
I
on
understand
it.
that.
And he's dragging his feet.
And Tom, we will need that map, but not, you have it with you?
I do, but we want to muddy the waters right now. We're just not just-
You have it written in the,
I wanna see the one that you told me you'd bring the other night.
but if you're gonna have this language in here as you have it now, this map would, does work.
Yeah, where am I?
I wanna see the map that me and him agreed that he would bring the other day. That's what we'll put on file with Cheryl.
So that is a different, now, this is all titled for that, so don't file this thing, or you're gonna have duplicates of everything, and it's gonna be messing records. But these are the distances you asked for, set extraction limit to property.
Okay, and this was gonna be gone, you said.
Well,
But we did these zones instead, so you could do, so you could do exactly what you did.
And it fits this.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good stuff. They did a great job.
So I do want to file this because it's got the wrong title on it.
Okay, let me see
It's
it.
going to- it's
Just
going
one
to
second.
be confusing with the house.
Okay,
read that one first, and after submitted to planning commission.
Yes, it's in there.
Yeah.
Admin permit.
it's in, yeah,
Yeah, okay, so the one
Okay.
that shows the one.
For,
okay. Anybody wanna make a motion here? Oh, okay. So before we make a motion on the acceptance of the 2022 mining permit, there's some questions. Is there any questions?
Yeah, I have a question about the outline on the map. I guess doesn't have, yeah, up by my property and Jeff's property.
That one? This one?
Yeah, the one that was, is that the permit?
This is the one that
this one.
we,
The one that is in contention,
This is the permit.
this
plan.
and this.
Yeah.
This stuff that we've been wondering as a community, does this, being in these permits repeatedly, have, set some type of precedent? You know?
you know, we're using now, here, take a look at this. And read that. That's the document we got from SHC. And when they created the administrative permit for both the township and when they submit the 5-year county. So we won't be doing it as a conditional use permit, we'll be doing it as an administrative permit.
leave my permit up here in a second.
First
You might have. There's piles of it.
Papers.
Oh, maybe I gave it to Ted.
What do you got?
Is that what you're looking at?
Yes, look,
Okay.
is there a back page sitting around somewhere, or do you have it?
Oh, shit.
This is it right here,
Okay,
or is that yours?
it's yours.
Thank you.
We know where to get more.
Sorry.
Cheryl, do you have a way to put the map up on the screen or no? Now that we got this sweet monitor?
Cheers.
It's gonna take.
Yeah, that's fine.
I guess maybe I'm confused. I don't understand why our properties, there's any illustration in the contested areas. Like, why is that part of this permit? I mean, didn't you guys ask for that not to be on the map?
I asked for the footage to be on the map between the property lines and their proposed areas, and the stuff on the east side of the road be removed. That's what I asked the other night.
Are you seeing that as a map in front of you?
No,
And I said that I can guarantee you that you won't receive that map, because there is some reason, you know, they don't wanna take that off there. Why is that so important for this permit? Is that important to have in this permit?
I would think so.
So something I'd be curious about, could we approve a permit with our verbiage and disregard a map?
Say that again.
Could we like approve our writing, our verbiage, that we have spelled out very clear what we're allowing and not allowing, and then disregard a map that goes with the permit?
The real easy thing to do would be just to eliminate the stripping of the topsoil from the permit.
Can I speak to that?
Yeah.
Your permit, the way you've written it, very clearly states that we cannot do anything in that area, closer than 500 feet, unless the variance determines
it.
otherwise.
We fully agree with the statement that the wording covers it.
It covers it.
So what's been a struggle for me and like residents are saying is, you know, for me, we're here looking at, we have a 5-year plan or a longer term plan, which can show the future stuff or ideas, whatever we're throwing around. But if we're focusing on 2022, all we currently have available to mine is what's inside that pit. And so the proposed stripping that shows up on the map or the east side of the road, none of that stuff can really happen this year unless we approve a variance. And that variance, if it got approved, would accommodate a map that shows how we'd want that proposed stripping done, taken care of, berm locations, all that. So for me I feel that every map that we're presented with should show all outlines inside the current township ordinances. And then anything outside of that should be, you know, up for discussion on maybe a future, like a long-term plan or a future discussion plan that is covered in variances. That's just my discretion on one person.
You've got it written right in your permit.
I couldn't agree more.
For that northern area. There's an area up there, the way your permit is written, if I stay within the current ordinance setbacks, I can still do some things up there. And that's how it's submitted right now.
That's proposed, but and then your permit language will say you cannot strip any closer than 500 feet from the property line of the adjacent owner. But we could still strip a portion of that. And your permit language very clearly states that we can't do anything closer than 500
Can you
feet.
bring that so I can read it again? I'm sorry. I lost.
But I don't understand that this is part of it. You know, as I told you the other night at the planning commission, we've always submitted plans that have.
We know. Yep, we know that, and we're trying to get more professional with our business here. And
Okay.
And your permit,
That'll cover it.
yes, it covers it.
Come here.
It would allow us to
Just,
still.
I understand that, but why does that map have to have that on there? You guys have asked for that to be taken off repeatedly and they
They asked
didn't
for
do
this
it.
to be taken off.
And it's
I
not.
did ask it
Well-
for the planning
And
commission.
you've asked and they agreed and now it's not the board's fault that it's not done. They agreed to do it and it's not the
But
board's
this
fault.
is what.
I understand that.
Well, yeah.
I understand that, but they keep pointing to these maps. You guys have approved this in the past, you've approved it over and over again. And they agreed to take that off. And how does that, why is that necessary? It's unnecessary. The only thing it can possibly do to the community is hurt the community. It can't benefit the community to have that on. They agreed to take it off. It's not required for this permit, has nothing to do with this permit.
No, but it is there for informational purposes
Well-
only, and which the township has very clearly asked for in the past. Our 5-year or more than the current year plan, you guys have always asked for that in the past, we're being consistent. Your permit language still states that we're not gonna be able to do anything in there, and our map clearly states future mining and completion of EAW and CUP, and you know that rezoning is in there too, so there's no way we can do anything there, it's informational and just like your future land use and your comp plans, they're there for information.
Could the language in that be amended a little bit to be a little bit more, just specific about ordinance 49, because ordinance 49, and they keep going from primary residence, they don't, and not property line, to say property line from adjacent property lines.
Read that underlined sentence right there, ordinance 49.
Separate, as defined in ordinance 49, which says you cannot be within 500 feet of a residence or a property line so they can choose which one they
Starts with 500 feet.
setback.
I would agree.
The definition is not crystal clear, so instead of saying 500 feet from, as defined, the definition in the ordinance says, it mentions both from a residence and also from a property line.
Yeah.
I would like it to say from adjacent property lines.
Yeah, and the ordinance 49, the amended ordinance 49 was just amended halfway through last year.
And it removed
Yes, it's all 500 foot from the property.
from property line. Okay. So is it hard to have that language clarified in that? Or whatever, comma, 500 feet from the property?
Well, yeah. Okay. Aggregate industries must adhere to the 500 foot setback defined in Township Ordinance 49, last amended March 10, 2021.
The map just showed to you 500 feet from my front door.
That's
not, and that was what was just created in
That's
you.
not that map.
What's that?
That's not this map.
Okay.
This is, right,
Sure.
Yeah. And that doesn't, so that, and that's
Doesn't
the
show.
stripping of land, and they can't do that within 500 feet of either property.
without a variance.
The only thing we did miss in here, and we wrote this part out, they made your application, and this is our handiwork. AI must adhere to the 500 foot setback defined in ordinance 49. Doesn't say which 500 foot setback.
That's
Is it
what I'm
from the
asking.
road? Is it from the road?
Ordinance 49 tells you it's to the property.
There's more than one 500 foot setback in there.
But this is the one we just amended March 10th, 2021. That's,
So ordinance 49's got more than one 500 foot setback. There's one from the road and one from neighboring properties.
They have to adhere to
Understood.
all of them.
yeah. Patty, here's your.
You know, Tommy made the comment there was still work you could do up there, maybe some stripping. According to this, you wouldn't be able to.
Why not?
If he's outside of 500 feet,
No. No land clearance is permitted in the proposed stripping area until all delineated berm locations
Oh.
and relevant artifacts are reviewed and approved.
that's all in that yellow area.
Okay, so we submit some berm things and
Yeah,
Go
so
through
you
the
just couldn't go up there and start ripping around. does kind of hurt me though, when, you know, I asked you the other night what you come back with and you agreed to do it, you didn't. You know,
Dick, I did it, but.
no, you didn't. No, you had your Sharpie out and you said right what we want, Dan was sitting right there. We said, show the setback from Reese's property, show the setback from Moore's property. Get rid of the stuff in the east side of the road. You agreed to that, you didn't do it.
I have the measurements here. I showed them to you, but it's titled wrong. If you file that, it's going to be a disaster. I will change the bottom on it and get it back to you. You can put it in your records.
I would like to see, if we're gonna do this, I guess my opinion would be, I'd like to see that yellow and the red just gone and the focus on what's approved, what's in front of us. We already know, we have maps that show, if aggregate wants to put a line on that outlines all their property or something, I don't see the need for or against it, to have it. And I'd rather see the township not have it on the map. I think all that would be covered in a variance, and I think we're working towards trying to have a longer plan which could show this kind of stuff to get this stuff out ahead instead of being here. But so my vote would be to, I'm good with the wording, but if we could somehow do something to modify the map, I'd like to do that. Leave it up to you two.
Would that be okay to get? Would that be easy to do?
I can get you a map without the eastern border on it, across the east side of 75 there. But I require that yellow shape, 2022.
And that we would require because we will strip there this year. We could strip there this year, there are trees. We would not do it within 500 feet of the property lines, just as you would.
You would have to modify this map then to do that though, because currently you have no work happening in there all the way up to the edge of the pit.
Yeah, so, part of the conditions of the approval would be map is requested by the town board. That do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if they're considering trying to sneak some 500-foot anything in that north part, you guys would want to modify your map to, because currently what we have submitted and written, anything north of that pit right now is written in the agreement to be untouched without further approval. The way it's worded, not against anything inside the ordinance. We're not against approving, but just how that reads, you'd want to really read that.
We'll read that, and we can work with you on getting that shape revised to do what we both want it to do.
Yeah, with dimensions. Okay.
Let's see that other one you had again, the one you were saying had the footage on it. Just the wrong title on the model.
Yeah, true.
The only reason this is important is because it's titled Operations Plan 2022.
Yeah.
And if we file that with this, we
Got it.
have duplicate maps of the same place.
See now, at 85 feet, is that supposed to be from the property line?
Yes.
And it should be 500, right?
Yeah. Stripping should be 500 feet from the property line, from both property lines.
They have it drawn
And it
that
should be, well, the town board allowed the 200 feet from the county road in the past.
But
But
regardless,
Jeff's house, you should be 500 feet from.
they have to be 500 feet from Jeff's property line
Yeah, from Jeff's property
and
line.
500 feet from
Ted's property
Ted's property line. That's what it says.
So what
in
we've
the-
done in the past is those boundaries become the disturbed boundaries, and we've always, came up with a reclamation plan from those boundaries, how far back we want the berm and all that stuff. So that's kind of just the general area. That's how we've done it in the past. But I'd still rather just not see it on here. We can discuss
Yeah, how
that
did you,
area.
I'm just curious, how'd you come up with the 85 feet?
That's those are rough numbers based on GPS points in a drawing.
Those are 500 feet from his house per the agreements, the written agreements.
That border is the long established extraction limit line. So we didn't change anything there from anything in the past, and that's where it lands. But that's why this gets confusing when you start putting these measurements on there, which we
So,
discussed.
yeah, so this map doesn't represent what's in the document.
What you've written in your document.
Yes.
What
No,
you've written
from
in your
those, I
book,
think
no.
we can do, we want this setback, the berm, we want all that stuff. But yeah, I think we should. go.
Okay.
The map should match what's in the document. I mean, the two should jive with each other. I mean, if the document says 500 feet from the property.
That's the one,
map
that's
should-
the one we're, yeah, it's gonna be part of the motion.
Is he agreeing with that though? Instead of 85 feet, it's gonna say 500 on there?
We'll do something to delineate those zones, so we have something in there for that, yes.
I wanna see where it shows 500 feet from his property line, 500 feet from his property line. You know, because that's what matches with what we're interpreting as the current ordinance. Now, we're in contention on the variance request on where that ends up. But currently, that's where we're at. Position match, whatever we got in
Yep.
the administrative permit. The two should match. And we'll have to rewrite this.
Well, I don't think we have to rewrite it, because we know where to find it.
Well, it just says 500-foot setback defined. It doesn't say the setback from.
As,
road, the
as defined
property.
in the ordinance.
Yeah, okay. There's two 500-foot setbacks, isn't it? It's not real clear, but anyway, that's kind of our problem, that one.
Are you guys ready?
Well, what are we gonna do with this now?
Well, we gotta make a motion.
Could we get those documents for that hearing meeting and approve it at that meeting, or is that not?
No, they gotta, no. The planning commission recommended that we accept their take on this administrative permit. And I think with this, map as requested by the town board,
And we
I think
should
we
change
can-
the definition of that, just to have in for Dick. Define 500 foot setback from property line.
Just like your question was within, and the last one being as specific, 500 feet from property line, not, you know, it's important.
Can you get what we want and come back here tomorrow night?
Can you make a motion to conditionally approve the permit as submitted pending a revised map agreed upon by the board, something like that, so we don't have to come together to a formal meeting again, but we'll get you what you
We
want?
kinda like meeting with you. No.
no, I think
No, we can-
we can do that.
Okay,
You want me to make a motion?
I can. Okay, I'll make it a motion, we accept the proposed 2020 administrative permit.
Conditional.
Yeah.
With that condition.
Yeah. With the condition that we have to fix our part of it, I wanna change that 600-foot thing.
500
500-foot thing, to be a little more clear what it is. And Aggregate Industries comes back with a map that shows, that matches what's in the administrative permit. And the footages from the neighboring properties up there are shown on that map. And,
Let Cheryl finish writing that before we second it.
okay.
Yes.
Can I offer just a piece of input before you move on that? Because I'm in the planning commission and I just wanna be 100% clear with what the language says on this permit, okay? So we did two things. We proposed that you would consider the permit application since it's accurate and complete, one. And we supported adding a permit to it this year. And the permit's got language, and the language specific, and the language says, in plain terms, thou shalt only conduct action here. This area and this area is pending additional mapping detail. You cannot touch it.
Not the lower bench, just the yellow, correct?
The
The,
strip.
You pointed to both, just the stripping, yeah.
I'm sorry, just the strip inside, exactly.
Yep.
So, the
And that's what
permit
we're
itself,
asking.
the permit itself calls out for that map in detail. So if you're gonna request map in detail before the permit is issued, then you have to modify the permit itself. Because you got it already, so you're not gonna reference something that you got. So
Say
and we can
that
modify,
again.
so the permit itself
Yep.
says, before you touch anything here, give me good mapping. If they're gonna provide good mapping, then you don't need that language. Am I making sense?
Oh, got it.
Which permit
So
you
where
reading?
did you write that part in?
It's right at the, no land clearance is permitted in the proposal stripping unless and until clear delineated berm locations and other relevant artifacts have been reviewed and approved. If you got that tomorrow, you don't need that language. I'm just letting you know that there might be a cleanup of the permit language itself should they propose a cleanup map. Because it was, the way it's written is that you don't have the information in order to allow anything to happen up here. If all of a sudden you gain it, the permit may need to be modified.
So
That's all I'm saying.
The proposed stripping and stuff in here wouldn't need to be in here if we had them remove that off the plan.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's
I hear
what I'm
you're
saying, because it's so
So
there's
there
no
would be-
confusion between,
Got it.
Yeah,
okay?
I think it's
Yep,
very
we
well
got it.
written though, I think, yeah.
And we can modify the permit again if need be, but we would just have to be in the loop, or at least the clerk would have to be in the loop in order
Yeah.
to modify the language to match it with the new maps and have it submitted. Does that make sense?
Yep. Cheryl, how'd you do on that motion?
Need a beer?
What's our motion now?
It's whatever she wrote. So,
I mean, can we just give them a
I'll second.
good faith to start? What did we?
Motion's been made.
Yeah.
I seconded it.
You seconded?
But
Yeah, so he made the motion. I seconded it.
Right, okay. He made a motion to approve the 22 mining conditional use permit application, mining permit application with the following modifications. A map that shows, that removes what's on the east side of County Route 75 and shows 500-foot setbacks from Jeff's and Ted's properties with the distances. And I am going to add, after 500-foot setback, I'm gonna add from property line.
Got it. Okay.
yeah. That sounds right, doesn't it? Sound good to you?
Any comments? All in favor? Say aye. Aye.
Aye. Should have asked any confusion.
I'm confused. No, not really. Okay. Let's,
Let the record show.
You didn't have the right footages on it. I wanted it from the property line.
That's what I
That's
said.
what they
I
are.
think it
That's
was,
what it
I
is.
think
You
it
got
was pretty
75
good.
feet on there, it's supposed to be 500.
You asked for what,
Yeah.
I brought a map with a little line I drew.
Ask Dan. He was
I
sitting
will
there.
actually back Tom on that one. He didn't
Thank you,
change,
Mr.
nobody asked him to move the line, but.
Dick, I tried.
if any of you are blocked in, please come back in and just tell them what kind of car it is. Okay, let's resume at what?
Planning commission,
Huh?
planning commission.
Yeah, but I was wondering if she could put this back up.
She's got a lot to chicken scratch.
Yeah, she's got a lot to do. We'll get.
The agenda? Put the agenda back
Can we
up.
get rid of the map and you put the agenda up back? Thank you.
I don't even have an agenda anymore. It's gone somewhere up there.
Well, it'll come up as, you can have this as
Oh,
soon as
we
that.
only, we
I can
didn't,
read
we
the
didn't have
screen.
3, did we? That's fine, okay. All right.
You got 2 down there.
I do.
So, no, Dick does. He's got them
Oh.
both.
No, I don't.
There you go.
Okay, number 6, reports of committees and
Dick's got them both. I don't have one.
No, I don't.
I gave them both
Give
to
me
you
one.
guys.
That you gotta sign. What do you want, agenda back?
yeah.
We didn't have enough.
Okay, planning commission report, we don't need that, we were there, and I read Paul's minutes. They were sent to us yesterday, I think. Next planning commission meeting is Monday, April 11th at 6:30, next town board meeting, Wednesday, April 13th at 10. I don't think we have any other committees or meetings coming up. Unfinished business, short-term rental ordinance.
We got anything else besides that? Leave that till the end.
This goes, we're right to this one here.
Should we skip that to the end?
Yeah.
Julie probably wants to get out of here. Her CUP.
Okay, new business, CUP, Waidelich's CUP.
I'll make a motion. We approve her CUP for haircutting.
Second it. and
If she
then
gives
we-
free haircuts.
Yep. Oh, we have an appointment to the planning commission. Is she here? Oh. Crap.
Is Julie good to go? She's probably
Yeah,
so.
Julie.
Good. That's it.
Oh, do we have something for her to sign?
We'd have to vote on it.
That's just
Oh.
the minutes.
Motion's been made and seconded to,
Approve the haircut.
to approve the haircut. Say aye.
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 Thank you.
All right. So the appointment to the planning commission is not here. And weed inspector, we're looking for a weed inspector to take.
We gotta.
Are you gonna do it?
I'll do it.
Ted?
I'm
Okay.
not sure what it involved yet, but I'll do it.
Cheryl's got all the information.
All right.
Clipper and stuff are in the shed.
Yeah, let's add to it before
I'm
we
a
give it
planning
over to him.
commission member, Paul.
He's a pain in the
Uh-huh.
We can appoint a person without him being here, can't we?
You wanna swear her in, right?
No, you only have to swear in elected officials.
Oh, okay.
The
So-
reason I'm saying is because we're short of people on there.
Yeah.
If we gotta wait till next month
So-
for us to appoint it, then we're short one person for a month.
Who would be appointing her? Who's short people? Okay,
I don't think. it
we'll
matters.
just do it. We'll
I
appoint,
can look it up.
It don't
I've
matter.
only done one. I can approve another, but I don't know who we're talking about.
Amy
Shaw,
Shaw.
go
Well,
ahead and talk about your short-term rentals, and I'll look up whose appointment it is.
I don't think it matters. I don't even know if it matters in the ordinance. Really, I don't think.
It does matter.
Does it?
Do
Yeah.
a piece.
Yeah.
I'll nominate her. I'll burn my last one up.
Okay.
Then I'm not on the hot seat anymore.
Then I'll
Okay.
second it.
Oh,
We got to vote.
we got a motion, make a
Yep.
motion on that?
Yep.
Oh,
We did.
Uh,
Dan did.
motion been made and seconded. All in favor, say
Aye.
Aye.
aye. Aye.
My God, we got two things
All
right.
right, here we go. Short-term rentals. Now, first, I know there was a lot of confusion in the planning commission on what to do and how to do it, but really, we had a lot of discussions with our attorney, and he was adamant about you need to create an ordinance so you can have a licensing feature with the ordinance. You can't have a licensing feature without an ordinance. So that's where this came from, and now it's got a couple of modifications in it. So the board is gonna stick with the ordinance method here, and we still haven't developed the licensing component. That's would be easy to find. We could just, copy whatever Marina on St. Croix has for their license.
Me
Yeah.
for an application?
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
already got one.
Oh, what am I worried about? So, other than just maybe a couple of modifications, I think the one thing that was a bit contentious, and I agree, is what do we have, 3 or 5 allowed in here? And I think we should just get rid of that.
Can I speak?
Yep.
No.
Oh,
So I just want to make it clear that for me, I think feedback from the community and the way this came about, I personally do not support the short-term rental agreement thing. I think residential use, renting out your property, whether it's a day or 6 years, 10 years, we've never regulated it in the community, and I think it's a residential opportunity. So I just feel my opinion was to get feedback from the planning commission, and I don't support adding an ordinance for that, but you guys can do.
no, I get that line of thought, Dan, but when the police were involved with one of those, we felt a very big need to do something, and all we had was a conditional use permit. So Ted got one, 2 of the other rentals got the CUPs, and then when we found out that that's a very poor way to do it, because you don't have any real teeth, which the ordinance and the license does, that's the route that we went, and we had many open meetings on this for people to comment. And, we started to develop, we used Marine on St. Croix as a background to do it, and we had our attorney go through it. This was, I don't know how many hours Cheryl had to spend on this. It had to be
So
many.
I totally understand where you're coming from. I personally have not received any emails or recommendations from the community with the feedback asking for a short-term rental or reasoning to create an ordinance for that. On the rental side, I think we have a situation that we have short-term rental, and then we also have a non-residential thing going on with events. And I made a motion at the planning commission, or I asked them to look into if they would find community interest or opportunity to maybe find and create a license or anything. That's just my take on the situation.
Dan, I understand it, but that instance that the police were involved with one of these, was bad, really bad.
I guess I don't understand illegal activity, whether, I'm not following. We haven't had, I'm one vote, I'm one opinion, so you guys can carry on, to me, the process
The police
here.
department recommended we do what our attorney says.
And I had a long discussion with our attorney also on, this is a way to create something if we want to choose to create something, to do that, but we don't necessarily have to have an ordinance to allow people to have rental properties or do that. But my thought process is we kind of reacted to a situation, and I feel like my job is to, if I see an issue, I should have recommended it, and I wish I would have recommended it to the planning commission earlier, but that's just my view on it. I think we have one property in the community that's doing things other than short term, and I think that's an opportunity that I've asked the planning commission to do some research on and see what they come up with and get some positive feedback from. So that's just me.
Okay, Eduardo, you have?
Yeah, if I can, I just, and Paul, respectfully, quite frankly, I don't remember when you left yesterday, so I just want to give a little bit of a recap of what the planning commission talked about this very issue yesterday, and also for the folks that were there.
On Monday.
On Monday, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
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 Tuesday, on Monday. So, just to recap and for your own information, in order for you to then make whatever action you have to do, because ultimately is your prerogative. One, no member of the planning commission supports having a ordinance on this topic, okay? Nobody argued that we should have one. To the feedback that has been received on the ordinance that got created, which I know it's a byproduct of some of your work, and I don't wanna dismiss it, is that it's mostly a registration permit with some noise controls built into it. But it doesn't have a lot of teeth to address police issues. So we grabbed a sample of an ordinance from another community. We took out just about anything that would have a lot of controls over it, and we left really a registration with some reference to noise. And that's it, okay? So the planning commission thinks that it's not really all that meaningful of an ordinance. And three,
This one, or,
Yes.
okay.
no, and the third point is that we all agree that we do have a noise softness in our policies and in our ordinances that we need to look into, whether we've got short rentals or not, that the complaints that have been received, except for the police one, which I'm not aware of, are noise issues, not necessarily short rental issues, and that we need to look at our noise ordinance in order to beef it up. And the planning commission is gonna take that on. On top of that, Dan asked that we would look into event licensing, if you would. There's not a lot of samples of that, there's not a lot of communities support it, and we will look into that as well. I'm not trying to persuade you one way or the other, but in the debate, I just want you to know that from a planning commission side, nobody supports it. They don't think that there's a lot of teeth on what you're putting in front of you, so it doesn't control much of anything except for some noise, interesting issues, and that the noise ordinance that we've got is very soft, and we should take a look at it to beef it up in order to address this and any other noise pollution issues. So, for your info and for the community on how the discussion sort of went yesterday, there was consensus on those topics.
Understood. We do need to do something quick. I mean, you know, these rental opportunities are gonna come up quick.
So are you thinking along the lines like you don't want more rentals? Do you want to start having all our rentals in our community start filing leases and checking on this stuff, or are you? What are you?
Well,
what are
the
you?
three that we
What are you
have
concerned with? I guess
will be starting. Sure.
they already fully operate. The short terms are still they're rented year round. I mean, the noise things, I know we have one property that, I know we have a property owner that's been working with us and really, taking steps and pushing steps, but I think, you know, I'd be curious to see what the planning commission comes back, whether maybe it's a CUP or something like that could help really spell out
Regardless,
clarity,
it
but.
will have to be run in front of our attorney,
Yeah,
regardless of what comes out of this.
and
we can.
my interpretation was that we can decide as a community what we'd like and not like, and he would help, if we wanna do something, he'd help look at the legal aspects of doing it versus not, but. That's up, I mean, like you said, that's up to you guys.
The only thing I'm gonna go back on, when this first started, we asked our attorney about it, he told us that these short-term rentals were not allowed by our ordinance. That's what he told us.
Yeah.
That's how we got started
That's
on
why
this.
we use the CUPs.
Yeah,
for-
and then we went to use the
No.
conditional use. What?
I disagree. He said we don't have an ordinance that addresses it. That doesn't allow it or disallow it. We
Right.
don't have an ordinance that addresses it.
Well, he told me it wasn't allowed in a residential area. That's what he told me. That's how we got started on this.
A rental, we actually have in our, Eduardo might know do you know the ordinance number on that?
It's Ordinance 49, Section 3B in the uses, and there's not a specific explicit use of it except for under a conditional use, you can have what is considered a guest house. But I do just want to emphasize that I agree with the clerk that the attorney said two things. A, it doesn't implicitly or explicitly allow it. One, that's the language he used. And the second thing is, if it's the discretion of the board to go in that direction, because these are coming up in other communities, it would be advisable to have some kind of ordinance to regulate them. But it's kind of your call whether or not it's needed or not. That's the language that I recall. Cheryl, correct me if that is not your recollection.
I suppose there's been so many meetings, so much back and forth stuff on this, and, I mean, holy God, we spent hours and hours on this, so he might have told somebody one thing, somebody else another thing,
That was on the record in the meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah, so.
but not everything he tells us is on the record of the meeting, I mean.
So we'll put this off for a little bit. That's not telling any of the three current ones that can't operate. Because you can operate. Gordon, you have a question?
Well, I have got some comments.
Yeah.
The residential ordinance that we have in the township
That
outlines
we have in the township. You don't
that
have it.
exist in the township, outlines what are permitted uses in the residential area. Commercial use, like a short-term rental, is a commercial use, and every other community has defined it as a commercial use, is not allowed in the residential area. It's not included in permitted uses, so therefore you can't do it. So these fellows, their conditional use permit application was denied because we were gonna create a licensing ordinance. We need to do that. We need to have something in place. These rentals, short terms, are springing up all over the community, all over the Twin Cities, and elsewhere. We need to have something in
But
place.
Corey, don't keep saying we. You live in St. Paul.
I'm involved here too, so I can say we. But township you know what I mean, the township needs to have something in place. And so, then they can operate. And now this noise ordinance.
I understand that.
And this noise thing, it only applies to the non-resident tenants of these short-term rentals. It doesn't apply to you don't really have a noise ordinance in the township, period. But what we're doing here only applies to the non-resident tenants of these short-term rentals. And that, what Dick has written and what I've written are very close to the same thing. They're not allowed unless the applicant can demonstrate that it works, that he can run this, what he wants to do without having the noise escape the property. If he can do that, we can add a little exception at any time. But for now, I think it's important to get the ordinance on the books and then proceed from there. And if you can figure out a way to work with the noise, fine. But you need something started, you need something established. And I think the ordinance we have, this was prepared for the most part by the township attorney. Well, that's the
Well, this is the modified one now.
Well, I sent one today. I think Cheryl sent it to all of you. I know Dick has it, and I know Dan has it, but I don't know if you got it or not. But it summarizes all these changes into one clean ordinance that's ready to be passed. And so that's something you could do.
So one thing that I would say is that we are Great Cloud Island Township, and other communities do describe short-term rentals as different things. We don't have anything that conditions them, anything that prohibits them. We have nothing in there that's allowing or not allowing any of those.
We do have the permitted uses in a residential district, and commercial rentals is not one of them.
We don't describe, I guess we don't describe a rental. We describe that here as a residential use.
Well, here, you can read the rest of this. I'll read it all. What's permitted in the residential district: agriculture, domestic pets, tree and shrub nurseries, single-family detached dwelling, wildlife preserve, public park, open space, a licensed residential facility serving 6 or fewer people, a licensed daycare serving 12 or fewer persons, and group family daycare facility licensed under Minnesota statutes, parts, a bunch of numbers, to serve 14 or fewer children. That's what's allowed in the residential area. These short terms, you've got where they could have up to 14 people, which is beyond what this allows. And it clearly, these short-term rentals are a commercial use in a residential area. And if they're going to actually legally operate, they need to have an ordinance. The township has to have an ordinance that specifies that they can do this. But right now, you don't have that.
Eduardo?
Yeah, it was 2 comments. The gentleman is correct on the permitted uses. However, right under that is the conditional uses, which is the ones you use the CUP, and there's a variety of them, one of which just got approved today. So under conditional uses, you've got other uses that are not explicitly outlined, like a hair salon, I think it is. It doesn't call it out, but it calls it out as a home occupation, right? Or it calls it out as a guest house, which is why I think our attorney said nothing is explicit or it's allowing it or disallowing it. At least that's the read from the planning commission of having looked at exactly that use. Two other comments. Commercial or not is not the issue. There's commercial approved uses today. A licensed care facility is a commercial entity, and it's approved. So it's not about being commercial or not commercial, it's whether or not it's on the list. And we should probably at some point consider revising this list to just have some accuracy on it, which we talked about yesterday as well. The third element is the one that probably concerned me the most, which is the comment around I am making I'm authoring some of the documents or we are authoring the documents associated with any of these items. That should be, according to your own process, something that the planning commission does. That is the process by which you create ordinances. You ask them, which I'm part of, hey, create an ordinance on blah. It doesn't come from residents, external people, individuals trying to do their own thing. It shouldn't go directly to you. We have a process by which it goes through a planning commission that they revisit and revise, and then they give to you. So just want to make a call for how can we adhere to the process that you've got in order to make sure that we are consistent about what you're seeing instead of getting emails the day before on something that nobody else has seen or has taken a look at.
I'll respond to that a little bit. I don't remember the exact path this took when it came to us. You weren't on the planning commission yet, I don't think, but it got kicked to the planning commission, then came to us, then went to the planning commission. It's been kicked all over town. We've got input from several homeowners. I mean, from the attorney, from one another. I mean, it ain't like the planning commission was bypassed. Okay, I mean, they were involved in this up to the point where, and I get it being, when I was a planning commissioner, I got mad. You'd sit and do something and the town board overrule you. But at the end of the day, it's our name. We're the ones that get the rocks thrown at us, okay?
You get a non-resident submitting to you ordinance documents the day before the meeting by which you're gonna consider it. I would say that that's a formidable example of bypassing a planning commission step.
Yeah, well, I've gotten information from residents too the day before the meeting or the day of the meeting, so.
Eduardo, we're not gonna do that.
Yeah, and I don't really care where they come from. I don't care if somebody's a resident, non-resident, I'm gonna take them all and look at them. You know,
So just
Great,
to be reassured, the board isn't gonna do any of that stuff anymore.
awesome.
I just would like to comment, the only place in this permitted and conditional uses that the closest thing that comes to is a guest house under conditional use. That's separate from permitted uses in a residential area. Now, we went the conditional use route and we decided not to do that. The township decided not to do that based on the attorney's recommendation. regulations. So right now, there's nothing. And so unless you pass an ordinance that does what the attorney said, these people theoretically cannot operate.
Well, they're going to operate.
Well, that's what you say, but.
Yeah. They're gonna
That's
operate,
what the statute-
ordinance or not.
Okay, well, that's what you say, I'm not sure if that's binding. And the second thing is, it doesn't matter who submits a draft of a proposed ordinance, and any interested party can do it. Shealy Aggregate Industries works on drafts with the township. And all I did was compile all the different gaps and took out the crossed out stuff and just made it, condensed it into what's simple. Obviously, if the board reads it, the board decides what they want to pass. And whether or not they want to involve the planning commission is up to the board. The board can enact an ordinance without the planning commission. And like Dick said, this has been through the planning commission, that they've all been looking at it, they've all had input, and it's not required that the board has to go through the planning commission. They have the authority to.
We're not gonna bypass the planning commission, any ordinance.
Is there anyone else that wants to speak?
I gotta add something else in there too. When this first came up, my concern was, I'll use Ted. Okay, we use Ted all the time. Okay. Now Ted's got his place rented out and the other guy probably does too for months to come already. And I asked him, I said, well, what happens if he's already got rentals out there and we come along and we say, nope, you can't do that. I said, can he turn around and take us to court for something? Because he's been operating, we've done nothing, and now we're going to shut him down. And his answer back was, no, he said, because it's not a permitted use in a residential area. That's what he told me. In fact, that's in writing. In fact, you got that email too. Okay. So I look at it like this. I think we should do something, because the way I look at it, the way I read this, technically, they're probably operating illegally right now, because it's not a use, it's not a permitted use in a residential area.
Are you speaking to events or are you speaking to short-term rentals?
Oh, same thing.
So all our long-term rentals that have been going on in this community, you're speaking to that as well?
Well, we could, if you want to, if you.
No, I don't want to.
I mean, if that's the way you want to go, you can. Okay, but,
Could stick
okay,
it to
but now
Ag.
back to what Eduardo said, this document we got here. Like you said, it's been watered down. I've chopped stuff out of it everywhere, and it's watered down to the point where I think people like Ted and the other guy can live with it. I would hope they could. I mean, it started out pretty restrictive, and at this point in time, it's not really very restrictive. But I would sooner have them operating legally. That way, nobody can come back and complain, no, that's not a allowed use in your area. Even if it's watered down, it's something.
And it's the rental part isn't so bad, it's the events that go beyond.
Right.
So
Right.
here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make a motion that we abort the short-term rental in front of us per recommendation from the planning commission. I look forward to hearing their findings on creating something to help guide the licensing or some other thing that they find. That's my motion to abort this thing.
Second.
And one last thing then. Wait, do we gotta vote on that first?
Yeah, motion's been made and seconded, all in
Well, how about
favor?
discussion?
We'll do that after we vote, before? Okay,
Well, whatever they do, I
The
want to,
next item is adjourned.
one thing I do wanna say,
well, whatever they do, I want them to come back and I make sure it's legal for permitted uses in residential areas
and they,
in some way, shape, or
They'll-
form.
They know how to do that.
yeah.
Well, I just want them to aware of that whatever they come up with has to fit in there.
So last quick thing I got is, like, I understand the situation's going on, and I don't expect any resident to live next to a event or a short term or anything that is subject to 7 days a week of noise, whether it's a small amount or not. Like, I just want to make it clear, I don't agree that anyone should have to do that. A normal homeowners, you might make noise 2-3 days a week or whatever. That should be expected, but I do hope the planning commission really works with us, and I know the property owner that is in Junction is more than willing and done a great job to do things. So I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Wait, all in favor of the motion to
Oh.
get rid of that
Aye.
document, say aye.
Aye.
And I'll second your motion to adjourn.
Did you say aye, Dick?
Yeah.
Come on, say it.
Yeah. I.
All in favor? Aye.